These are such cool knives. Joe Caswell just did an amazing job going completely out of the box with one of the most crazy overbuilt folders ever made. And these were early 2000s. Like, these were just completely mind-blowing at the time. Super light, crazy smooth action with a little bit of a light assist. Crazy solid lockup. And deceptively simple. There's really only a few parts in these things. So, I figured it would be a great one for a Teardown Tuesday. So let's take it apart really quick. I thought about actually pre-taking it apart and cleaning everything up, but this is how it actually looks after being carried and used for probably a year and a half now since the last time I took this thing apart. These only have 2 screws that you need to take apart for disassembly. It's got a really slick bushing pivot setup that means that you don't really ever have to fiddle with the pivot once it's all adjusted. This is your spring that actually actuates the lock bar. Let me see if I can get this put together in a way that I can show how this thing works. Not really, because this is... So pretty much everything on this is a bushing pivot. Even the pivot for the lock bar is a tighten it down, set it and forget it bushing pivot setup. This guy sits here, like so. So if I hold it like that, all right. Now, come around here. This is your entire locking setup. You've got your lock bar here with the integral pocket clip. This little tab pops up through the front scale here and just kind of prevents it from inadvertently getting pushed back. You have to push it slightly in and then back to unlock the knife. And then when you push it back, that allows it to pivot closed. The spring that drives everything is a pretty beefy piece of piano wire. That's got to be 50, it might even be like 60 thousandths thick. It's really beefy. This leg of the spring is what gives your lock bar tension. This leg of the spring that squiggles up here is actually what gives you your detent. There's a pin right here that interacts with that nub there. Down where you're supposed to be. And that is what gives you your detent. Really, really slick setup. Get this thing apart and cleaned up. Yeah, it's all juicy. I gotta stop just dripping a little bit of oil in this thing. It really doesn't need much lubrication at all. Clean this all up really quick. Not get oil all over my nice mat there. Bronze washers. And like I mentioned, it's got a big old bushing pivot set up. It's really slick. You actually adjust this outer screw, which sets your bushing height, so that you can just crank this show side scale, crank it down tight, and have the perfect clearance setup. Very similar to a Chris Reeve bushing setup, in that your ability to just crank it down. But this is adjustable for wear if you ever did have a little bit of wear in the washers. I haven't noticed any appreciable wear. This thing, I just checked it before I took it apart earlier, and it's got zero play, even in the unlocked state. This thing's actually a lot cleaner than I expected. This awesome simplicity is only achievable with the tolerances and crazy machining that Joe was able to do on these back in the early 2000s. This lock bar is 17.4 pH stainless, I'm pretty sure is what he said it was. Somewhat hard, but not crazy. I was able to cut into it and put the tritium in there, of course, because I can't ever leave anything alone. What are we doing on time? 6:40. Yeah, this is going to be a long one, but we can put this thing back together now. Really, I shouldn't have used any oil on this. It's really more suited for just a grease where it needs it. I like, this is Lucas Red and Tacky. It stays where you put it. Provides good lubrication. You don't really need much. A little there. A little there. A little bit there. People tend to overdo lubrication, myself included, but really, all you need is a very thin film. Alright, now, let's see if I can do this all. That grease worked around a little bit. Oh, I like to put a little bit, just a little dollop right there for the detent. Joe's probably going to watch this video and tell me that I'm doing this way harder than it needs to be, and there's probably some super easy way to reassemble this, but in reality it's not bad. I didn't move that grease around there. Started there, come over there. There we go. Easy. Oh, dumbass. Washer. You all get to see that because I'm not reshooting this whole thing. Through there. That's better. Alright. Put these screws back in. Yeah. These things are just freaking awesome. It is such a tank of a knife. This thing's actually seen a lot of carry and use. I've broken down a ton of boxes with it, and it doesn't show any appreciable wear. I'm so glad I'm able to have one of these in the collection. They are just phenomenal knives. Really, really cool pieces of history. Back in for a little close-up. Oh man, I'm over 11 minutes. All right, I gotta cut this off. Yeah, there you go. That is a Joe Caswell EDX. Disassembly, reassembly, how it works.